the league has essentially gone to a 2-star league, each team having 2 stars. If you're looking at it as presently constituted, James Harden, Westbrook are in Houston, Kawhi and Paul George are in LA, LeBron and AD are with the Lakers, and then you got KD and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn. And, the question was raised, is this 1-2 punch, is this going to necessarily remain the same, or are we going to have a scenario where it's going to go back to the Big Three era? So, is the Big Three era dead? And nothing is dead. The 1-2 punch era isn't dead, and the Big Three era isn't dead. What people have to understand is the NBA is just basically a copycat league. The league emulates whatever is winning. Everybody trends for whatever is winning. Nobody necessarily has one style of play that they consistently do. I would say the only team that I've seen that really consistently tries to play the same way all the time is the San Antonio Spurs. Even then, they had to modernize their game to shoot a whole lot more threes. So no era is really ever dead. If you look at it like this, think about this. In the 90s, we had a whole lot of, in early 2000s, it was always a 1-2 punch. You had T-Mac and Grant Hill. A lot of people don't remember that. T-Mac, Grant Hill. Kobe and Shaq. Steve Francis and Cuttino Mobley. Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. So it's Mike and Scotty. So it was always like a 1-2 punch. But then you look back to the 80s, because people were saying, well, the Big Three era really started with Ray Allen and KG, but that's false. Because if you look at the 80s, you had Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Kareem. That was a Big Three. Then in the 80s also, you had Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer. That could be considered a 3. Then you had the Celtics. You had Parrish, you had McHale, Bird, and Dennis Johnson. So none of this stuff ever really dies out. It's just it's cyclical. It's cyclical. Right now we're in a cycle where teams aren't necessarily trying to build the Big Three. They're trying to be more balanced, because what they saw in the NBA Finals was the overloaded Golden State Warriors, when they faced injury, they didn't necessarily have enough depth to maintain their injuries. But here's the fact of the matter. Once a team with the 1-2 punch or the Big Two era, they go to the finals and they lose to a team, let's just say that's a Big Three team, teams are going to try to do Big Three. If a Big Three team or Big Four like the Golden State Warriors loses, like they did to a more balanced team, teams are going to try to go back to more balanced. No team is necessarily really consistently pushing out a simplified product where it's consistently the same thing. I would say in the last 5 years, maybe Golden State has been the only team that's been like consistently 3 or 4 stars, Big Three, pushing that product. But no other team really has been consistently doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a copycat league. Like, everybody's trying to get their stars when they see stars are winning. When they see that a bunch of stars don't win, hey, we're trying to go back to being more balanced. You saw this with the Lakers back in 2004, where they lost to the Pistons, and everybody started getting more defensive-minded. We want a more balanced team. We want more balance. But then, once you start seeing things shifting another way, Big Three with KG, Ray Allen, then that's when guys are like, okay, we need to do Big Threes, which brought up Miami. But then when Kobe beat the Celtics, or whatever the case is, when Kobe beat the Celtics, it was Kobe, Gasol, and you can say it's Odom. So you can say that was a 3. You see what I'm saying? So like everything has its own cycle, but none of this is new. And what I love about the NBA is they try to shovel you shit like it's new. Like they'll make something up. Like, this is the Big Three era. This is the Big Two era. This is this era. When all along in the NBA, this has always been going on, always been being seen. So it's really crazy how ingenious their marketing is, because they'll make it seem like we never saw 1-2 punches before. Like, really, I'll tell you, growing up as a kid, and you know, in the 90s, early 2000s, and stuff like that, that's all I saw. 1-2 punches. These kids are really spoiled to see big threes like KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, or Miami where you saw LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Or how I wouldn't say Golden State necessarily has a real big three because they drafted all those guys. Like, they weren't necessarily superstars, and then they assembled together. But you know, they're really lucky to see the Golden State Warriors. That's like a once in a lifetime thing, because growing up, all I saw was Kobe and Shaq, T-Mac, Grant Hill a little bit, T-Mac and Vince. Like, you just saw either one star carrying the team or a 1-2 punch. You never really, so it was always about balance. It was never about overloading because guys had too much pride to team up. Nowadays, these kids are super spoiled. I mean, super spoiled, because in the 80s, at least the GMs built those teams. These kids get to see their favorite players link up with their other favorite player. You know, like, you know, think about it in high school, middle school. You'd be like, man, I would love to see Kobe and T-Mac play together. Nowadays, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. So, but the whole, is this era gonna end and die, the big three era? Trust me, that's not gonna die. And once a team is able to figure out how to put 4 stars on a team, like Golden State was able to do it, trust me, now everybody's gonna want to try to get 4 or 5 stars. It's not. This is never gonna stop. This is all cyclical. It's just funny how they're marketing and branding everything. But no era is gonna die, guys. The big two guys playing on the team, that's not gonna die. We seen that with CP3 and James Harden. You know, the era of big three, that's not gonna die, because we're always gonna see guys try to team up with each other, pair up with each other. And honestly speaking, the only era you could probably say will die is the era where you have 4 stars, because we haven't seen that since the 60s Celtics, I believe. 60s Celtics. And that was 40, 50, 60 years ago. And then you're looking at the Golden State Warriors, who just recently did it, and now that's done. But with the way the salary cap is set up and everything like that, I don't think we're ever going to see that again. So that might be the only era that you can say will die. But then, hey, you never know. In another 10 years, another 5 years, when the guys are getting older, they might say, hey, let's all pair up again. So you never know. But no era really dies. It just gets recycled. So I think Jay-Z had a really good line in his here's a song he had. It's called "It's Like That." It's on Hard Knock Life Volume 2, and it's also Kid Capri album. He said, "May these words find a spot on your brain and burn. I recycle my life, I shall return." So let these eras burn in your memory, but they're gonna recycle and they're gonna return. They're gonna return to you guys. Mark my words. Hoops Junction, where hoops means hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.